All right, so let's talk Aston Martin DB11 coolant and coolant replacement. Apologies for the audio quality. I did not bring my little microphone, so I'm just gonna have to talk to the camera. And I'm holding the camera, so apologies for that quality. Is what it is. And so I've sort of started doing this, looking into it. Man, I did so much stinking research prior to even beginning this job. And first thing I came across is this Aston Martin service bulletin, service bulletin 03-1055 for a DB11 V12 coolant flush. There's the VIN range. That applies to mine. Mine's a 2017. And this came out in February 2018. And what it says right here is if this Frostox 18 HT12 is not available, do this procedure. I finally have the workshop manual. Drain it, fill it, bleed it with clean water, and basically do it over again. And then there's a long list of, you got some glycine G40. Mobile Ultra Concentrate. Yeah, I can't find too much of this stuff. But basically a G40 is a suitable replacement. But apparently, and it's a 5.5 hour job, so I'm sure it's going to be super cheap to take it to Aston Martin to have done. But 6.4 imperial gallons, 30.6 US quarts, comes out to like 7.65 gallons. So if you don't have this Frostox HT12 for a top off or something, you gotta completely drain all this old stuff out, flush it, to be able to put this G40, the glycine G40 stuff in. So I have found the Frostox, or what I believe is Frostox HT12, but I think Frostox HT12, that's just, I think it's the brand. I like how OEM approvals are still waiting. Here are the specs on it, and ASTM 3306, and so this is interesting stuff. It took a bit of research to come up with what I believe is the stuff, or the equivalent of the stuff. So Frostox HT12. Let's what I find interesting is this service bulletin came out in 2018. I don't know when they started making this Frostox, but it's a BMW product basically, or a BMW specification. Because here's BMW Lifetime Coolant 18, which is Frostox HT12. So that's a 1 quart bottle. But I just found this information and I was like, oh my goodness, that's it. BMW Antifreeze Concentrate LC18 is HT12. And like, okay, so I can just get BMW coolant, right? Yeah, you can. So, and here's a spec sheet on this glycine G40. Thankfully, that's not what that's not what I was after. Although I am completely draining this stuff out, because what is in mine, Frostox HT12 BMW 18. So I've done a little bit of draining to start with, and we'll get to that in a minute. So my cross-referencing, I came up to this row product here, AN18LC, you know, high tech HT. So, and recommended for BMW HT12 antifreeze. Great, perfect. And here is the spec sheet on the high-tech antifreeze coolant AN18LC. All of these specs, there it is, ASTM D3306, and there's the BMW part numbers, and this 442, and 442 is this right here, HT coolant, the high-tech stuff. So here it is once again, and it's green, BMW HT12. This, all right, and HT12. HT12. All right, I'm guessing Frostox is just the brand manufacturer or something. So this row is that. There it is. There's the BMW part number. High tech, made in Germany. I'm quite confident this is what this service bulletin is talking about. So I think I got the right stuff to put in the car, and it is green. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's green. So, and what I've been getting out of the car is pink. So, it makes me want to completely flush in this whole system to get to it. So let's maybe call this part 1 on the coolant discussion. And where did I get this stuff at? I ordered this stuff from USP Motorsports. Man, they had the best price on that. You know, obviously you could go buy the BMW stuff, and so there's how I began this journey. All right, so a quick discussion under the car. All right, there's a plastic air dam thingy on the very front. It's got to come off first. There's a splash shield that goes over here. It's got a plethora of bolts in it. I mean, just like, I took off my shoes and dropped my drawers, and I still ran out of digits for counting how many bolts are in it. It was ridiculous. So just a plethora. So I can't remember the bolt size. You get a torque set and just start 13 millimeter for the 13 millimeter bolts for that's the aluminum splash guard here, and they're torque bits for the plastic air dammy splash guard thing. So those are out, and right there, thank goodness, is a drain plug on the bottom of the radiator, which is so much better than that Vantage that my dad has that may not have that. So, all right, BMW, I'm sorry, Aston says, don't use any tools. Let me try and get a good, so that little guy right there. And Aston says, do not use tools to remove this. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that you almost can't even get a hand in here. And unless you're a teenage boy that's just discovered his daddy's nudie magazines, you probably don't have the grip strength to do it anyway. So yeah, we're going to use some mechanical help. And it is only a quarter turn. Quarter turn, pull it out. Nice and easy. Doesn't take a whole lot. So we're going to start this draining. That's going to be loudly annoying, I'm sure. So there's like I said, I've done some draining through that already. I've done it 4 times. I've done 4 times. You can get about 2 3/4 gallons out of it. I got this nice bucket with the lines. Tell me how much I've gotten out. And consistently I get about 2 3/4 gallons out of it. And it holds 7.65 gallons total. So that's about 37, 38%, somewhere around there, of the coolant I'm getting out. And so I've done that 4 times already, and keep putting clean water into it, run it and drain it, you know, get it warm, let it cool. You know, over the course of a couple of days, it's 4 times. This is number 5, because I just started first thing in the morning. It's cold, but I'm not getting enough out. And I'm like, how more am I going to get 3 gallons of that? Antifreeze, flush this stuff. All right, so I finally got the workshop manual, and you discover that these two, those 2 connections right there, they're going to have to be disconnected. I do like the starters on the very back here. That's a nice feature. So much tired. I had 2 other cars prior that had to take intake manifolds off to get to a starter. So hopefully I don't have to replace this starter, because I'm sure it's not cheap, but at least I don't have to take the intake manifold off to get to it. So I'm gonna have to disconnect these 2 to let some coolant out, and then there are 2 in the back. There is a splash shield back here. It's got half a plethora of 10 millimeter bolts. It's right over here. And I'm going to be doing a transmission drain and fill. I did the differential yesterday. So these 2 are also drain lines, which probably, there's the transmission cooler. So we got these 2 coolant drain lines, so it's running coolant all the way to the back. There's a pump, a little electric pump, and so those are going into the cooler for the transmission and probably the differential. So we're gonna disconnect those up there. So now we have a better idea of how we're gonna get more of the coolant out. The only other thing that the manual says, which I'm not too likely to do, is this right here. So that right there, there's one on the right side, one on the left side. You see it's in front of the front wheel, behind the wheel liner. There's a brace. There's a big bolt. I don't know. I have to jack the car up, take the wheel off, get the fender liner out. And then it says, oh yeah, and plus the connections to those things. There it is. The connection to that cooler right there. It's also on the front side. And obviously you got an in and an out, and there's a left and a right. Oh my God. Aston Martin, why didn't you just engineer a drain plug on the bottom of both of them? Because it says to remove both of those, dump them upside down into a bucket so you can get the fluid out, and then put them back in. That's why this is a 5-hour job. Actually, it's the book says 2.75 hours just to drain this thing. And then fill and bleeds like another 2.5 hour process. It's, oh my God. Yeah, that's what I had no idea how much this would actually cost if I had to take this to my dealer to do it, because I'm sure the fluid's going to be expensive, and then you got at least 5.5 hours of being billed. And so, right, it's less pinky, but it's still pink. So once again, the fluid I'm taking out is pink. This HT12 stuff that I'm putting back in is green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of this stuff drained out, see how much, I know how much I'm going to get out of this, and then we'll measure how much more I get out of these other two places, and then we'll fill the car back up with just some clean water, run it, let it get warm, and not overheat it. It definitely says only let it get warm enough to blow some warm air out the vents, and keep an eye on it. Don't let it overheat. So we will definitely not let the car overheat. And it is nice to have this lift, I will say that. So see how much more we get out doing those lines. I'm hoping I get, that's going to be like 2 3/4 gallons. So right now we're a little over 2.5. It's only gonna put out maybe another little bit. It's not, there's not a lot remaining to come out. It's kind of getting to the end, but it's still pinkish. I'll put that in one of those and we can compare it. So there's first drain, second drain, third, fourth. This is almost done for 5. You can see it getting clearer, but still highly pink. So I need to get more of this out so that I can get the proper stuff in. So there we are. That's about done. About 10.5 liters to about 3/4 gallon. All right, so we're gonna put this on pause, and then we're gonna disconnect this and see how much more we get. So I can't do that, and I can't hold the camera, disconnect that. So I'll be right back. All right, so why do you use that? I mean, like me and the voices in my head, or what? Because there ain't nobody else in here. Not even, I don't even see a cockroach. So it's just me. All right, so I disconnected the two in the front. You're gonna make a little bit of a mess. I already wiped it. It's kind of splattered out a little bit. I wiped the floor up already. It wasn't a lot. Maybe a cup or so on the ground, but nevertheless, as you can see from the front, not even a whole half gallon. So what you gotta do to get these off, you gotta pull these little clips down, and then there's a you may not be able to see it, inside of these there's an O-ring in there to seal this. So what you got to do is, once you pull this down, you just take your hand and you can rotate it back and forth to kind of break the seal of the O-ring, you know, from years and heat of being held on there. And then you can, once you get that little seal broken, the stuckness of the O-ring to the pipe, it pulls back fairly easily. So I'm quite curious as to how much more we're going to get out of this. I guess maybe this is lower than that. Honestly, I'm not excited about getting. So I mean, at the moment we're kind of just over 3 gallons out, because I emptied the bucket. Make sure you empty your buckets into approved containers and stuff like that and dispose of it properly. But right now I'm really only looking at getting maybe three and a quarter gallon out of 7.65. I don't think I'm going to get another 3 out of this, so holy shnikes, how much is the engine and how much are those the two aux coolers holding? Golly. All right, so just a quick how to get these off. I love this little pick thing. Probably use a flathead screwdriver on these. These are big. Just kind of pry it off. They come like halfway out, just like that. See, it's got a little place for it. And I mean, if you over pull and they come off, it's not the end of the world either. And doing this with one hand is a bit of a pain. So yeah, but you know, on the really small ones, it's really better to use a screwdriver. I'm sorry, it's that little pick works way better on the ones that are small, the small hoses. So here's, I'm gonna try not to stop the video. So this is what you do, just twist it kind of back and forth like so. You'll hear the O-ring freeing itself. So that one's ready to come loose. And we'll have this one ready in just a moment. See, all right. Clip came off. It's not a big deal. They're easy to put back in. So we'll go ahead and get this one broke off. Now it does say in the procedures, leave those disconnected while you do these. So I need to get another bucket for back here so that I can catch this and leave. Well, I'm going to put something up there. I don't know if much is going to come back out up front. So I definitely want to bring my little bucket stack back to here to catch all of this, and I'll put something on the floor to catch any remaining that comes out of that, and then we'll see how much more we got. But I did empty my bucket. I'm not sure why that one looks darker, because I'm pretty sure that one was number 4, not number 3, but either way 3 looks. All right, so first drain, second drain, this is just out of the radiator. So just draining radiator once, and then re-top it off with clean water. 2, re-top it off with clean water. 3, drain it, top it with clean water. 4, and this is the one we just did. All right, so it's definitely clearing and less pink, but that right there, that's 5 times. That is 5 times of drain radiator, top it off with, and like I said, about 2 3/4 gallon each time. So look at how long it's taking to dilute this stuff down. So yeah, I understand why they really want you to, why it's so difficult to get all this stuff out. So stand by. We'll go to the back. We'll see how much more we get out, and we'll be right back. Okay, y'all. I reconnected that. Actually, when I disconnected these, I got like quart-ish, not even actually, maybe a pint to start with, and nothing else. I mean, there was just some drippage out of that, so I didn't get anything additional. So reconnected those. Actually, here's what I did. I went a little rednecky. Y'all hear the accent, so I can do this. It's legally allowed. So I made this little piece of tubing up, a 1/2-inch barb, threw some tape on there, and I wanted to blow some air into here, some shop air, to see if I could get more out of that coolant. So what I did was I reconnected those, came up here, threw this into there, and applied shop air to this end. And the system, Like, I would love to be able to put some more pressure into this thing, but you know, it's a 1 bar system. 1 bar, 14 psi. I don't know if that little regulator over there will regulate that low, and I'm not going to do that. So when I say shop air, I mean lung power. So yeah, just kind of put that electrical tape on the end of there. It actually made a nice little seal. That's a 1/2 inch, 3/4 barb, 3/8 barb, 3/8 hose, and a 1/2 inch on that. And it sealed nicely enough, and I just blew into it, and to get a little more out, did both directions on that. And I actually got about a quart out. Yeah, about a quart additional by doing, you know, blow some air that way and this way. So, and then I did the same thing to this direction. Same thing. Put that there. Put that there. Blew. I got less than a cup. Actually, here. This, doing that, it was that. So it's like barely measurable. Maybe a cup of fluid going that way. So I did manage to knock the bucket over. That was fun, but luckily it was only like maybe 3/4 of a gallon. So I had to spend a smidge of time cleaning that up. So what do we have at the moment? Without draining these two aux radiators, I'm looking at having I know I had about 2 3/4 out of the radiator, and then just over 3/4 out of doing this back here, so just over 3.5 gallons. 3.5 gallons out of the system doing that, minus the aux radiators. 3.5 gallons out of 7.65. So still less than half. And I gotta be honest, I don't see these two little radiators allowing me to get the other 3.5 gallons out. Actually, it's, you know, probably 4 gallons. So yeah, damn, this engine holds a lot of water, and I just don't think there's any way I can get to it. The specs don't call for me. I mean, it doesn't really matter because that's the lower radiator hose. It's got to drain. I'm not going to get any more out of this engine. There's not an engine water drain. And, you know, whatever's in the heater core. So probably maybe a 1/2 gallon in each of those radiators, those aux radiators. I'm gonna assume that, so maybe a gallon out of that. Probably 2 in the engine, and then, you know, maybe 1 in the heating core. So that's gonna do it for the coolant drain video. I'm gonna fill the car up again with clean, and I'm using purified water from Publix, and I'll tell you why. I know, like, use distilled. Well, distilled has 0 minerals in it and will attack the engine if you just use distilled water. This is my understanding of it, at least, you know, because it's gonna seek to have some sort of balance in alkalinity or pH, whatever, and so it's gonna suck the minerals, the electrolytes, whatever it needs from the metals in the engine and the system. So I have tested that spring water. It's not distilled with 0 minerals, but it's very low minerals. You know, tap water is probably not the best because that's a high mineral content generally in most places in the world with tap water, very high mineral content. So spring water, it's got a little bit of minerals in it. Should keep it from, and I can't remember the numbers, but I did measure it once before, and it will keep it from, you know, electrolyzing parts of the coolant system to seek its balance. So that's why I'm not using distilled water. So we're going to put that in, more water, and run it one more time, drain it one more time as best we can like that to get another of those 3.5 gallons out, and hopefully it'll be almost not pink. So, all right, that's, I think, more than enough. 30 minutes of this, and that's it. We'll come back for some actual filling bleed procedures once we get to that point. See y'all.